every day I use Duolingo. I've been using Duolingo for 482 days. And you can see on my phone screen, I'm going to show it to the camera there too, 482 days. And so normally what I like to do before I start my day is just do 2 to 3 to 4 minutes of speaking 10 different sentences out loud in Spanish. So let me just give you an idea what that looks like. Normally I will, in the past, do these lessons, these unit lessons. I do like doing them, it's just they do take up time, and most of my time when it goes to like studying or just work related is all in the field of software engineering or tech wise. But nonetheless, I always like to do this as a daily habit, daily practice to just kind of get my mind ready for the day to speak Spanish. And I speak Spanish throughout the day with my girlfriend, our family, and other friends and just individuals throughout the town in our day-to-day life. So the cool thing about Duolingo is just doing like this speaker review. They give you 10 sentences you have to speak out loud. It generally takes about 2 to 3 minutes to do. So without further ado, let's do that real quick. ¿Qué significan esas señales? Señales. It's always a little hard going from English to Spanish.
Esa avenida es muy
So I feel like as I'm doing this video, speaking English right now, doing Spanish is probably not the best version of myself, but that's all good. Esa avenida es muy ancha. Ancha is wide. I do never use that word, ancha. I need to use that word more often. Ese lago no es muy ancho. Wow, as I'm speaking that, they want me to say it again. Okay, that never happens. Perdón por el retraso. Perdón por el retraso. Pardon the delay. Se cree que hay animales extraños en ese lago. Se cree que hay animales extraños en ese lago. It is believed that there are strange animals in that lake. Se necesitan guías de turismo. They need tour guides. The tour guides are needed. Okay. Puede darme una bolsa de plástico. Puede darme una bolsa de plástico. Uh-huh. No sé qué significa eso. No sé qué significa eso. Y two more, I think.
El dólar se usa.
El dólar se usa en Estados Unidos. El dólar se usa en Estados Unidos. The dollar is used in the United States. Y última. El tren llega en el andén 5. El tren llega in el andén 5. The train arrives at platform 5. I never use andén.
Andén.
Probably because there's no trains around in Colombia. Well, in Medellin there are. Yeah, I just wanted this quick video just to show and demonstrate that I use Duolingo. Let me show you again to just confirm. I currently have a 482-day streak that you can see here on my profile page, 482 days. So that means I've been using the app for over 482 days. And at that time, I just have the perspective of what it's like to be as a user using Duolingo. And in that time, I can tell you that I see the app constantly being updated, adding more and more value. It is a great platform to learn another language at a very affordable price, and just do a little more research into the company. And I think there's about 300 engineers roughly, at least according to the article I'm about to just share my thoughts on. They're constantly building and enhancing the app, and it's just for my time using it, and also now just becoming like a software engineer. It's actually a company I'm really interested in learning more about and understand like the technology they're using, and also understanding how they've been successful up until this point and why the platform is just continually evolving and getting better and better. And learning more from the standpoint of, just to know how it works as a company, from the standpoint of engineers, and also is it a company potentially later on be interested in working for it and getting an idea of that. So learn a language, take some time, go to that country, speak it. All right, here's my thoughts. I have read a GitHub article that I found on LinkedIn that was talking about a company I really admire. It's called Duolingo. Might have heard of them. They are the largest, or one of the largest, I really think they're the largest, language learning platform, how about that? Language learning platform in the world. They have over 500 million users. Right here, they've been around since 2011. I've been utilizing the service, learning Spanish for almost 500 days now. I think I'm like on 483 or 4, something like that. So relatively soon I'll be at 500 days straight of continuing learning Spanish. So I'm very grateful for this platform and service. And so the company itself, Duolingo, has been using GitHub services, different product offerings over the past 10 years or so. And of course, it's always constantly evolving, but the three this article covers that GitHub or that Duolingo uses is first off their API. So just briefly, GitHub has two APIs, a REST API and a GraphQL API. Don't really know what either one of those are. I just know that REST API has been around much longer, so many more developers are more comfortable and familiar with utilizing those types of APIs. GitHub does have a free version, a pro and a team, so later on in the future I would like to experiment and learn more about just incorporating GitHub's API into my projects. The other product offering that GitHub has is called Copilot. Copilot is GitHub's AI paired programmer. Just think of it as like you're coding along and then all of a sudden, boom, you can instantly have a boilerplate produced just like that. And then so the developer is able to just focus on making the customization necessary to the code rather than having to go dig and find online the documentation or the code library. And the last one is GitHub's Code Spaces. GitHub's Code Spaces is their cloud-based service. It allows for rapid use of computers for handling big pieces of information, repositories, code. I have here a little better description. Here you go, GitHub's cloud-based development environment. And we'll jumping ahead. So in this article references two, I think there might be a third one, I need to find the name, but two Duolingo employees. The first one is a senior engineering manager, Jonathan Burkett, who talks about the power of GitHub's API and how they integrated it into some of their workflow. So for starters, they integrated the API and the information from GitHub into a Slack integration, which now has allowed a massive drop in the median turnaround time for code reviews from 3 hours to 1 hour. So you just think of thousands of different code edits being made and then a merge request, and that merge request takes time for an individual to be notified and then review it, go through it, and then commit it to the main branch or wherever that code needs to go. So saving an additional 2 hours is quite massive for making one code edit. That's big. And also, when I guess Duolingo was starting out, they only had 3 repositories, which that's quite small for like a big company, and now they have 400, and it's very manageable according to this article and utilizing the API technology. And another aspect I like to point out, and I think it's a good sign for a business, and the workflow is that now non-technical employees have the ability to make small code changes without affecting the overall quality of the code. So I think that also just continually helps with the efficiency of workflow. If you're allowing also other individuals that don't have that high technical background to also add to the structure and the flow and the continued growth and maintenance of the code itself. Now, getting into the Copilot API section, I'm going to reference the Duolingo CTO, the Chief Technology Officer, Severin Hacker. What a great name. Speaks to how he was first not really on board for having an AI-powered paired programmer, but it didn't take long for him to recognize the power of how the developers at Duolingo are able to stay in what he calls the flow state and keep momentum instead of clawing through code libraries or documentation. So again, that's where I'm just going to briefly reference this visual here. All of a sudden, boom, the developer gets the code boilerplate right there. They didn't have to go look that up, and then they can make the customization tweaks and code edits they need to do and stay their mind focused on the problem at hand, which is the complex business problem they need to solve and build for continual growth and value that Duolingo offers to their 500 plus million customers. So going back to Burkett, senior software engineer manager, with the Copilot integration, it now allows least a 25% increase in developer speed. And that's if the developer is already familiar with the coding language. You estimate it's about 10% increase for those already familiar with that same code base. And the last product utilization is going to be Duolingo's GitHub's code space, cloud-based service. And with that, the reason why Duolingo started to use that is because Duolingo would oftentimes utilize the service of Docker. And Docker is a platform for, let's see, it's not a good description of what Docker is. But essentially allows you, just a building app, let's just call it a building app, and allows you to run many different applications all at the same time. I've known people on the Hack Factor course from previous modules or former alumni, not former, but the current alumni, and they would use Docker, and it takes up a lot of energy and slows down your computer substantially. And in this case, the reason why Duolingo changed to CodeSpaces is because they were having issues with a lot of their developers utilizing and working on Apple M1 machines. And this is massive. So by using CodeSpaces, they were able to skip the local environment troubleshooting and essentially just set up what they need to get done for environment setup with just one click, which that's massive. If you can just do everything in one click, that would be an ideal world, but it doesn't really work right that way. But that's substantial that from this workflow standpoint, they were able to get done in one click. And references here that Duolingo, with their largest, when they're setting up the largest repos, it takes just minutes as opposed to hours or even days before CodeSpace. So that's massive. So this article just highlights, again, it's coming from GitHub. So of course GitHub is gonna, if whoever's writing, of course GitHub's gotta say good stuff. Makes sense. But it's very positive when they bring in a client like Duolingo that is massive, very big. They went public, I think, a year or two ago on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange, one of the two. Probably get that fact right, but they went public, so they're a very massive company. And the fact that they are harnessing this technology and they're seeing massive enhancements in their workflow and benefits is a good sign, and it just speaks to the importance of GitHub or GitLab, but in this case, GitHub in the industry of software engineer and industry of tech. So yeah, let's move on to the rest of this week 6 review.
Feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every